All right, good morning, traders. Today is June 16th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I moderate and I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Thank you for the thumbs up, the likes, the everything, the subscriptions. Thank you for just following my content. Appreciate that. All right, thank you for the kind words. Big shout out to Bob Jordan. Thank you so much, Bob. Appreciate all the likes and the kind comments. Love it. Thank you so much. All right, how I plan to trade SPY today. Well, we're going to get into that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and start with the morning monologue. Well, let's just take the morning summary from Friday. All right, so today's the 16th, and again, thank you for being here. My SPY pivot this morning, 598.30. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab 5 are still in daily uptrends. FNGB, SPY, QQQ made. They all made lower lows and lower highs, closing under bullish traps, but over their 17 EMAs. IWM and Diamond Dow made lower highs and lower lows, closing under bearish crosses under their 17 EMAs. SPY closed with a 2-hour downtrend and a 10-minute downtrend. Gold and silver both in daily uptrends. Let me just say, gold came within 3 pennies, or maybe 9 pennies, of taking out the all-time high. Okay, that's incredibly close up there. Okay, both gold and silver in daily uptrend. Silver made an equal day. All right, it made an equal high and an equal low as compared to the day before. Closed inside a bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA. Gold, like I said, really made an attack on the all-time high. Made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over that 17 EMA. USO still in a daily uptrend. Made kind of an exhaustion move. I don't know. I hope it can hold that higher ground. We'll see what happens with USO. Anyways, made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. UNG, an inside day, that's a lower high and a higher low, closing inside a bearish trap under the flat 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend. Hey, we love that. As a consumer, not so much. Closed near the 98.11 area. SPY max pain for today, 600, with a put to call ratio of about 1.35 puts to each call, so not much of a put squeeze. That expires today at 4:15. Hey, let's go take a look at some charts this morning. Let's look at how I'm going to trade SPY. All right, let's dig out SPY first. All right, let's pull it up on a, let's just go ahead and get the game plan out. All right, so the SPY pivot today, okay, 598.30. You can see where price action came down to this area and then came back up to this area, kind of halted for a brief moment, and then we kind of paused in this area. This is Friday's price action, by the way. So you can see that becomes my pivot, 598.30. So above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Okay, you got red erases green. Okay, so that'd be red erases green below 596. That's a red erases green entry. All right, we got a green erases red entry. That'd be up here, up over 601.10. That's the green erases red. So in other words, see all this pullback? Well, if the bulls come in and erase all of that and more, that's a 601.10. That's a bullish entry up there for a breakout to go higher, probably fill that gap. All right, so we didn't fill the gap from yesterday. That's a clue. All right, so we'll see what happens. All right, again, I like Friday options. I always like Friday options. Okay, so I like 4 days till expiration Friday options on the multiples of 5. That would be 600, 605, 610, 595, 590. Okay, I like them $5 to $15 out of the money for my small account. I'm willing to take on a little less performance, and just for a little less risk. Okay, so I'm willing to give up some of that performance, all right, so that I have less risk. So I like them $5 to $15 out of the money. let me just say, you get some of these candles in there, sometimes they're $2 and $3 if you've got 10 contracts, and that goes the wrong way on you, all right? That's $2,000 or $3,000. That's to about $1,000 or $2,000 down your account goes. So not liking that. So for that reason, I do take the $5 to $15 out of the money contracts. Again, I don't get the performance that I would if I was in the money or if I was zero DTE. All right, you want the highest performing option. It's usually going to be, penny for penny performance. It's usually going to be that zero DTE in the money option. That's the way it's going to be. All right. So you can see yesterday. Okay. So how did we make money yesterday? Made some good money on Friday. Excuse me. Had a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Okay. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. That was tradable. And we had a little 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. That was tradable events. So these are tradable events. Anytime I see 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Now, they don't even have to be below the red erases green or the green erases red, okay? So for those bullish entries, if it's not even above, green erases red, and I got a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, I will definitely trade that to the upside. Same way on the downside, if I have a 10-minute downtrend under VWAP, all right, that's not even taken out the 596 area, I will trade that 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. All right, so that's what I'm looking at. So let's take a look at the QQQ game plan real quick, and then I'm going to talk about SPY, how I'm going to trade it. All right, QQQ pivot 528.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green under 525.80. Green erases red over 531.55. Again, the same options that I like here. Where is our moniker? Right here. Okay. I like the 4 days till expiration Friday options on increments of 5 or multiples of 5. So 535, 530, 525, you get the gist. All right. And I like them, again, same thing. Either 11 days till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5. And I also like them $5 to $15 out of the money. Again, I'm willing to give up some performance to take on a little bit less risk. Okay, so there's QQQ game plan. Back to SPY. Okay, let's look at the pre-market on this thing. All right, so we can get a game plan going for this morning. All right, so I just want to share something here. And I'm going to share let's see what we got here. Just a second. That's not what I wanted to do. Here we go, right up here, okay? So we're going to share, this is my consolidation pattern, all right? So we're going to break that open, okay? So you can see the last consolidation pattern as I shared it with everybody. Okay, it was 583 up to 593 where we would flutter around inside there and then eventually make a half back or a higher low and then rip up to this area. So we ripped up to here, okay, up to 605. And guess what? Yeah, we had that pullback to 593, 591. Okay, now you can see price has gotten about halfway. It's about at 600 right here. Okay, now we're waiting for it to go back up to 605 or 603. So my next move, all right, is to complete the rest of this pink arrow right here. Back up to 603, 605, maybe higher, maybe lower, maybe up to 606. We'll see. I've seen them do that, take it up to 606, 607. And then after that, probably find a double top and then find our way back down to 593, 595 area. Okay, so we're currently at 683 right now. So I'm expecting another $2 move to the upside, come all the way back up here. Maybe even a $3 move, $4 move, back up to 605. Complete that consolidation. Again, come back down, come back up. Have a little battle in our W pattern. All right, winner of the battle. Usually, we're hoping it's going to be the bulls, and we create a halfback and rip up out of there and take out the all-time highs. We'll see what happens. If they lose the battle, if the bulls lose the battle, well, we're coming back down here to consolidate and then maybe lower. Okay, so we'll see what happens. So there's SPY, and that's my consolidation pattern. See, the gold is what we have completed already. All right. Either in the pre-market, in the post-market, in the regular market, between all the hours that the market's open, this is where we have completed. You can see right now we're at 601. We're at actually 694. So I'm expecting SPY to come back up to here. Okay, 604, 605 area. That's the plan. All right. So let's take this off and go back and visit. Hope I didn't mess anything up. No, I didn't. Okay. Let's go visit with the pre-market on. All right. I'm going to take a lot of this stuff off right now. Okay. Okay, so we have a pre-market range. Okay, right there. Right here. And, well, it actually goes up here. They're having a pre-market breakout right now. Okay, so this is SPY. All right, so I'm looking for price to climb its way back up to, see this candle up here, all the way back up to 604, and do the gap fill. So we have a gap fill that needs to be filled all the way up to 603.69. You can see that. We do have green erases red right over this box right here. This is was our opening range, and now we're having a breakout of that opening range. So I'm expecting price to come up here, challenge this breakdown candle high right up there. Okay, that's my first target, 601.75. Probably consolidate a little bit. All right, maybe for an hour, maybe for 2 hours, okay, and then start to work its way in there to start filling the gap, and eventually up to 604, 605. Okay, now if we break this low, I think we're coming all the way back down here for a gap fill. All right, so we'll see where we go. This will be our opening range right through here. Okay, so if we get below this, probably heading down to a possible gap fill down here. All right, if we get up above here, I'm still bullish. All right, as long as this 10-minute uptrend over VWAP consists, I'm going to trade it. See, we currently have 10-minute uptrend. I'm going to zoom in. See the 3 EMA up on top of the 8 EMA. Okay, so you get candles, the 3, the 8, all on top of VWAP on top of the 17. So I'll trade this 10-minute uptrend until it stops. I'm going to stay with the trend until it stops. And when it stops is when the 3 crosses underneath the 8. Okay, that kills the trend. When the 3 crosses under the 8. Okay, and if I get a bearish engulfing, that means take some profit off. All right, so if I get a full candle that bearish engulfs, I'm going to take some profit off because I don't need to risk all of that all the way down to VWAP back here. Okay, so you got a little breakout now. I'm expecting more highs come all the way up here to 601.75 and attack this breakdown candle high up there. So that would be my next target up. We got a 10-minute uptrend. Again, below this area right here, I will be looking for a gap fill and then maybe lower. Depends how fast they get there. If they get here in a hurry, all right, I'll be expecting a red rubber ball school bounce. Red rubber school ball bounce, okay? If they get there in a hurry. If they melt into this, I will look for lower numbers. Okay, coming in slow and deliberate, all right, means a planned attack, okay? It's like coming into the school zone. You know the speed bump's there, all right? So they come in slow and deliberate. They're able to pass through the school zone or the speed bump and possibly go further, all right? When you hit the speed bump doing 60 or 50, okay, you mess up the front end if you keep going. Okay, so I'll look for a bounce right there. All right, and they'll turn around and head back up. All right, that's what I'd be looking for if they get there in a hurry. All right, so we'll see what happens here with SPY. Currently, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. I'm bullish on ES, MES, MNQ, NQ. You get the gist, okay? 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, that's a bullish right there, okay? So that's looking good. All the way up to here, 601, first target, 601.75. Breakdown candle high, okay? That's where we are right now. All right, let's go back to the game plan portion, and let's look at the 10-minute chart from Friday. Okay, you can see the yellow 3 EMA is under the 8 EMA here. All right, so that is a 10-minute downtrend into the close on the 2-hour. All right, you can see on the 2-hour we have the 3 EMA is underneath the 8 EMA, so that's a 2-hour downtrend into the close. Let's go take a look at the daily chart. We'll look at it up here. On the daily chart, you can see we have a lower high and a lower low. Okay, we're closed underneath the bullish trap. It's a bullish trap because the 3's on top of the 8. Closed under the bullish trap, but over the rising 17. Okay, so that's bullish. Okay, right now what we have is consolidation over prior consolidation. See, there's some consolidation there. And now we're getting consolidation over prior consolidation. All right? That's a bullish environment right there. Hey, good morning, Lenny. All right? So consolidation over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment. Still got that 17 rising higher. That's bullish. Okay? We closed under the trap. All right? So that's kind of neutral through there, but we're over the 17. That's bullish. If we look at it back here, you'll see in the quad lines with the quad lines on there. Okay, I'm going to take this off. It's a little bit too busy. Okay, this is our zones, all right, where we consolidate over prior consolidations. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take that off. So we're up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. We're making higher lows and higher highs. It's an uptrend. Also bullish. We're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Also bullish, okay? We're up here. We're holding the higher ground. Notice the price structure. Okay, not just one candle, the whole price structure. Okay, we are moved up and over to the right. Okay, that is the bullish environment. When you see price move up and give it up, okay? That's just neutral, all right? If they move up, give it up, and more, all right, that's bearish, okay? If they move up and they hold that higher ground, that is a bullish environment, okay? So in this bullish environment that I'm viewing right now, okay, take all that off, okay, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like them when they're inside of 2-hour uptrends, that are inside of daily uptrends, that are inside of weekly candles that are moving up. In other words, making higher lows and higher highs, that are inside of a monthly uptrend. Okay? So we have that a couple days ago. Not yesterday, we had, Friday, we had a global event which caused the market to pull back some, all right? So we got down to 593, 591, and now we're on our way bouncing back up to those prior highs. We are in a bullish environment. We are consolidating over prior consolidation. That's bullish. We are over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's also bullish, all right? So I like I said, I'm going to repeat it one more time. This is a rare opportunity when you get those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP inside of 2-hour uptrends that are inside of daily uptrends, that are inside of weekly candles that are moving up, that's inside of a monthly uptrend, and all of that is all over this all-time high anchored VWAP. That is the rare event. Okay, you don't see that very often. That is opportunity. Okay, big time opportunity in those. Okay, those 10-minute uptrends are going to go a little further. They're going to last a little longer. You're going to have a higher win rate. You're going to have a higher success rate. Okay, on the bearish downtrends, those will be counter trend. You're going to have a lower win rate. Okay, they're not going to go as far, and they're not going to last as long. Okay, because we're in a bullish environment, so expect that those 10-minute downtrends to fail more often than not. All right, so there's the daily chart right there. Okay, so I can see we just popped up there and hit 601 right now. All right, things moving right along here. Again, my target 604 again. Okay, so right back up to these highs. We'll see how we get there. Don't know how, but I think that's where we're going. I think they want to consolidate over prior consolidation. And I just shared with you the consolidation pattern that's my theory that's what they're going to do. Now, I don't get what I want all the time. All right, but we'll see what happens, okay? I'm expecting that to happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, all right? So we'll see what happens here, all right? But so far, hey, things looking good. All right, so there's SPY. All right, let's take a look at the 2-day, okay? Again, we have a 2-day downtrend, and the reason we got a 2-day downtrend is because we got to take out and make a higher high. Well, the first high we come to that pops over the 17 is the all-time high, so still haven't quite done that yet, all right? As you can see, you already know. We haven't made a new all-time high. That is the last high, is up there, okay? So it's a tall order. We'll see if we can get it done. Right now, we're in a 2-day downtrend, technically, but look at these candles. They're definitely not moving down. They're up over the 17 and moving up, okay? 3-day, same deal, all right? Oh, another pop now, 601.10, okay? I'm telling you, trade that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, all right? It's a winner, all right? It should be a winner for you, okay? Up to 601.50, 601.75. Breakdown candle high. And we're getting there. All right. 3-day in a downtrend still because we got to take out the all-time high. Okay, but let's face it, candles are moving up, not down. Same with the weekly. All right, notice the weekly in a downtrend, but look, candles aren't moving down, they're moving up. All right, so we don't have technically a weekly uptrend. Okay, but let's face it, they're not moving down, they're moving up, and they're holding this higher ground. See this structure? They come up here and they've held for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, and in your monthly chart, you can see right here, we'll take this, okay, we're green. We have not made a lower low. Okay, that would be the low to beat. This will be the new low to beat. All right, so we have not made a lower low, so we're still in an uptrend on the monthly chart. So like I said, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, inside of a 2-hour uptrend, inside of a daily uptrend, inside of a weekly candles moving up, all right, not down, okay, inside of a monthly uptrend, okay, all of that structure over all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line, okay. That's a recipe for success. Those are the trades I really want to focus on. Are those right there? Those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP that are all over that all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, that's what I want to focus on. Those right there. Okay, so where's our all-time high? See it right up there. Okay, and all of that price structure over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Good looking chart right now for SPY. All right, let's go take a look at the rest of the markets. We spent enough on what we're going to trade this morning and what it's looking like. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. All right, here's QQQ. Let's pick it up on the daily chart. Let's pick it up on the scratch right here. Okay, QQQ made the same thing as SPY. Okay, got a lower high, lower low, closing under the bullish trap. okay, but over the 17. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. It's moving up. It's holding the higher ground. That's bullish. It's making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. All up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still bullish on SPY and QQQ. Okay, FNGB. Okay, we watch FNGB. It's got 10 of the most heavily weighted securities in the SPY and the QQQ. Okay, these 10 securities, when they move as a pack, they can drag those two indexes right along with them. All right, so you can see price action moves up and then over to the right. Gaps up, then over to the right. Then up, then over to the right. See the price structure? Up, over to the right. Up, over to the right, okay? And hence, we got all these green 17 EMA candles, balls right there. Okay, price action, same deal. Lower high, lower low, closing under the bullish trap, but over the rising 17, over the daily uptrend line, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, up here in quadrant 4. All of that is all bullish environment. Moving up, holding the higher ground is bullish. Making higher lows and higher highs is an uptrend, all right, which is also a bullish environment. Okay, so again, FNGB, 10-minute uptrend inside of two-hour uptrends, inside of daily uptrends, okay, inside of weekly candles moving up, inside of monthly uptrends, okay, all over the all-time high anchored VWAP, all right. This is that rare occasion or event that you have. This is rare opportunity right now, okay, when you have all of that lined up. Because your trends are going to go further. Your trends are going to have a higher win rate. Okay, there's FNGB on the daily chart. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, let's take a look at IWM. All right, IWM got a lower high and a lower low. Closing underneath a bearish cross. See the 3 crossing the 8. Closing underneath the uptrend line. No one says that's where the uptrend line has to go. Okay, could need to move out some. We'll see. Closing under the uptrend line. Okay, still here in the neutral territory. Okay, we're not in the upper third. We're not in the lower third. We're hanging out at the midpoint. All right, this is normal for price to break through, pull back, test. Okay, test. All right, test the resistance that they just broke through to see if it holds before ripping up to make a new high. That is normal price action. Okay, don't get spooked by this yet. Okay, got a lower high and a lower low, coming back, testing the resistance they just broke through to see if it's going to hold as support. And then look for that to J hook out of there. Hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully they're not winding it up to make a big drop. We'll see what happens, all right? But right now, this is normal for it to pull back and test the resistance that it just broke through to see if it's going to now hold as support. So IWM, okay? Neutral up here over the 17, that's bullish. Okay, over the midpoint, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Okay, we're having a normal price structure pull back to test support. It should hold as support. We'll see. And then rip up to make new highs. J hook out of there. All right, so we'll see what happens. Right now, we're in the pullback. Not saying it's going to hold. Not saying it's not going to hold. All right, I'm just saying we're in that neutral territory. We are making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. All right, that is a bullish environment. That is an uptrend. Uptrends are bullish. Okay, so there's IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, same deal. Okay, lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish cross. Okay, that's kind of neutral through there. Closing underneath the 17. That's not neutral. That's less than neutral right there. Closing underneath that 17. No longer in the upper third. Looks like they're regaining it this morning, though. I got to tell you that. See that? They were back in the upper third. No longer in the upper third as they closed Friday. They are regaining it now, though. Okay, That's neutral through here, all right? We're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That is bullish. We're up over the downtrend line. That's bullish. And we're under the uptrend line. That's neutral right here, okay? We are holding the higher ground so far. We're making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. Holding that higher ground is bullish, okay? Like I said, it's when you go up, all right, and you give it up. All right, when you go up and you give it up, that's neutral. Okay, if you're going up and you're holding up here, that's bullish. Okay, don't look at it as just one candle. Look at the price structure, the story that it's telling you. Okay, so there's diamond down, still bullish. Not in the upper third Friday, but they were in the upper third Thursday. And it looks like they're bullying back up there today. We'll see how far they get. There's diamond down. All right. Let's take a look at some technicals, see if we can get it moving along here. Okay. T2122, Friday's price action. Lower high. See it? There's a high from Thursday. Friday's lower high. If they fail to make a lower low, guess what? We're coming back up here to visit the highs. All right. If they fail to make this a lower low, we're coming back up here to the highs. We're going to retest the highs. It means failure to make a lower low typically means a test of the prior highs back up here. So we'll see what happens, all right? So you can see we spent the day mostly in the seller's chop zone. We made an appearance inside the buyer's chop zone, making a lower high, and from there we had a little bit of profit taking back down into the seller's chop zone. We'll see where we wind up this morning. T2123, you can see we were bullish the beginning of the day and then some profit taking. But all in all, look at the price structure, not just the profit taking. Okay, price structure shows you a move up and over to the right. That's bullish. Up over this 200 SMA. That's bullish right there. Okay, price action making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. That's bullish. That's T2123 3 bar. We're up over a prior all-time high. That's bullish. You can see price structure consolidating over prior consolidation, new consolidation. That's a bullish environment. You can have pullbacks in there, okay? You break the major support, okay? That would be the bottom of this consolidation, okay? That's when things fall apart. Don't want to break the bottom of the major consolidation, major support. Okay, that would be the lower side of the consolidation. Okay, cannot break the bottom. Breaking the bottom is very bad. Okay, you could start seeing gaps getting filled. Now, anytime we see bullish gaps that aren't getting filled by the bears, that's a bullish environment. Here's a bullish gap right here. Let's get this back out there. Let's take that off. Let's get this. Okay, so here's a bullish gap. There's a bullish gap. There's a bullish gap. There's a bullish gap. There's a bullish gap. See all these bullish gaps that weren't filled by the bears? That's weakness on the bears' part. Okay, that makes it a bullish environment. Okay, just want to point that out. Okay, whenever you see bullish gaps that aren't filled by the bears, that's a bullish environment. We could have that today. We'll see what happens. That's T2123, 15-minute chart, okay? We're going to go visit the same product, okay, on the 3-bar chart. Okay, here's the 3-bar chart. Okay, again, 3 more green candle bars. We're making higher highs. I haven't seen any higher lows. There's a high right there. You can see because it's green. And we're making higher highs. See, we're well above that one right up there. We're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. We're moving up, holding the higher ground. That's bullish. We're up over a prior all-time high. That's bullish. Okay, so uptrend. This is bullish. T2123 on the 3-bar chart. On the daily chart, not so much. We still have to take out that high right there in order to negate the daily downtrend. But here's the good news, all right? Price is not moving down. It's in a daily downtrend, but it's not moving down. Okay, so they got to get through this 200 SMA. all of this consolidation through there and then take out that high. Okay? They can do it. All right? It's going to take some time. All right? So T2123 still in a daily downtrend. Let me take that out of there. All right? Let's go take a look at FNGB. Okay? Price action. Look at the price structure. Okay? Price. Okay? Moves up and it's holding that higher ground. That's a bull flag. All right, we're underneath the 200 SMA. That's but we're attacking it. That's neutral. We're over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. We're over the uptrend line. That's bullish. We're making bullish gaps that aren't getting filled by the bears. That's bullish. All of this, you've got consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay, all of this. Okay, this on top of this. Boy, that's messy. Let's try it one more time, John. Okay, got consolidation. See all of this right through here. Okay, right in here. Okay, over prior consolidation. See, here's the latitude that this is on, and we are consolidating up above it. That is bullish. Okay, that's a bullish environment right there. Moving up, holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Okay. A little profit taking going on before we move higher. We'll see what happens there. That's looking good still. Okay, so there's FNGB on the 15-minute chart. So how high did the SPY get today? I'm just curious. In this pre-market uptrend over VWAP. So they got all the way up to 601.43. So not quite hit the target yet, but moving up there. They got the 601.30, which was my green erases red entry. So I got an idea. They're probably going to J-hook back up there. We'll see what happens. All right, there's FNGB. All right, let's take a look at a few sectors, then hit the economic data, and then we'll get moving along here. Okay, we'll start off with XLE. All right, XLE, all right, is neutral, all right, but moving up, making higher lows and higher highs. Okay, closing over downtrend line 1, downtrend line 2, making an attack on the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's neutral right through there. Okay, and making it's in an uptrend. That's a bullish environment when it's in an uptrend. Over the all-time high, over these downtrend lines is also bullish. Question is, that looks like an exhaustion move. Can they hold the higher ground? See how they failed to do it here? Can they hold the higher ground? That'll be the question. All right, right there. XLE making a nice comeback or appearance on Fridays. Take a look at USO. Another one that I'm wondering if they can hold that higher ground. Okay, that looks like an exhaustion move. Just saying. All right. Don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that does look like an exhaustion move. All right, so higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap. That's bullish over the 17. That's bullish over this 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's bullish up in quadrant 4. That's bullish over the downtrend line. That's bullish. Okay, all of that is bullish. All right, making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. That's probably going to need to cool off for 5 days. USO, all right? That's bullish and in an uptrend. Look at the higher high. There's a high. They made a higher high. Nice move. UNG. UNG still bearish. Okay, down here in the lower third. Made an equal day. Actually, no. Made a lower high and a higher low. Inside day. Closing inside a bearish trap under the 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the downtrend line in the lower third. All of that is bearish. UNG. Let's take a look at gold and silver. Gold. See gold. Gold made an attack on the all-time highs up there. Okay, didn't quite get it. See the high here is 317.63. The high here is 317.60. 3 pennies from taking out the all-time high. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. That's bullish. Over the 17, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, bullish. Showing you an inverse head and shoulders, bullish. Up in quadrant 4, bullish. Over the uptrend line, bullish. Okay, bullish, making higher lows and higher highs. That's all bullish up there. Gold. SLV. SLV making an equal day. Okay, that's the equal high, equal low, closing inside a bullish trap. That's bullish. Holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Over the rising 17. That's bullish. Over this 12-year high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. Making higher lows and higher highs is an uptrend. Also bullish. Let's take a look at SMH. Okay, SMH up in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, bullish. Up there in quadrant 4, bullish. Holding the higher ground, consolidation over prior consolidation. That's bullish environment. Okay, SMH, bullish up here. All right, higher lows, higher highs. That's bullish. All right, XLK. Okay, XLK. Closing inside the bullish trap, neutral. Over the rising 17 is bullish. Over the uptrend line is bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP is bullish. Up here in quadrant 4 is bullish. And in an uptrend and holding the higher ground. Higher low, higher high, holding the higher ground and breaking out. XLK, bullish. XLF. XLF, still up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Price action making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. They take out this low, they're going to negate the uptrend if they take out that low right there. All right. They're up here consolidating and holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a pink line. That's bullish. Up a third. Bullish. Okay. Closing underneath the 17. That's bearish. Under a bearish trap. That's kind of bearish there, but they are up in quadrant 4. That's bullish up there. XLF. IYT. IYT got a lower high and a lower low, closing underneath a bearish cross, underneath the 17, underneath the uptrend line, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. They're not in the lower third, they're not in the upper third, so they're just still neutral. But let's face it, they're moving up and they're holding the higher ground. Kind of an unconventional, sloppy hold, if you ask me, up there. But they are holding the higher ground over the midpoint. All right, so that's just neutral. Let's take a look at the economic calendar. All right, for this morning, what do we got? We got Empire State Manufacturing Index 830, and that's it. Tomorrow, we got retail sales 830, import-export prices 8:30, industrial production 9:15, business inventories at 10, housing market index 10 o'clock. Wednesday, main event FOMC at 2 p.m. with a presser at 2:30. Housing starts 8:30 on Wednesday. Jobless claims 8:30 on Wednesday. Petroleum report 10:30 as normal on Wednesday. Thursday, we're closed. Markets closed on Thursday for Juneteenth. All right, natural gas report, which normally comes on Thursday, got moved to 12 p.m. on Wednesday. FOMC at 2 p.m. That's the main event this week. And the presser at 2:30. Okay? Friday, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index 8:30, along with options expirations for weeklies and monthlies. I think just weeklies. And that's it for Friday. So really light week, except for the Fed announcement at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. That is the main event. All right? There'll probably be a good-sized move. Earnings. What do we got? All right, just some familiar names. Nobody that's going to move the markets for today. Again, more familiar names. Jabil, Lazy Boy. All right, nothing that's going to move the markets. More familiar names. Nothing that's going to move the markets for Wednesday. Thursday, more familiar names. Nothing that's going to move the markets. Friday, more. We got Accenture. $211 billion. They're going to report Friday morning. All right? That'll be it. Everybody else, Kroger, Coca-Cola, Darden Restaurants. Again, familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. All right? Let's take a look at, we did the economic calendar, the dollar. Dollar's still in a downtrend. Lower high, lower low. That's bearish. Lower high, lower low. That's a downtrend. We closed Sunday night, 98.11. Notice we're closing underneath what was once major support. So now we are finding that to hold as minor resistance, and we're digging out new lows. See the low? Made a lower low. Lower high, lower low. It's a downtrend. We hate that as a consumer, a weak dollar, but we like it as business because it helps make our goods and services more competitive on the global stage and in the global markets. Okay, Max Payne. Max Payne is 600 with 1.35 puts to each call. Not much of a put squeeze there. All right, that's it for me today. All right, I want to say good morning to Lorene, Rally, and Roasted. All right, thank you for being here. I will see you all in 35 minutes. Thanks, Jim. Thank you, everybody. All right, see you guys in about 35 minutes. Let's go make some more profits today. All right.